King Frederik X of Denmark brought a deeply personal connection to Wimbledon when he took his place in the royal box to watch Novak Djokovic compete on center court. But while the Danish monarch's presence at the world-famous tennis tournament drew attention, it was the man seated beside him who made the moment even more meaningful. King Frederik was joined by Dr. Christian von Buchwald, a respected surgeon, professor, and one of the king's closest friends. Their appearance together was not simply another royal outing. It was a reminder that behind the official titles, state visits, ceremonies, and palace traditions, there are friendships that have survived the enormous changes of royal life. The King of Denmark has long been known as a passionate tennis fan. Wimbledon is not an unfamiliar setting for him, and his attendance has become something of a personal tradition. Yet this visit stood out because it connected sport, friendship, history, and royalty in one highly visible moment. As Novak Djokovic stepped onto center court, the attention naturally focused on one of the greatest players in tennis history. Djokovic, a 24-time Grand Slam champion, has spent years building a reputation for discipline, resilience, and an extraordinary ability to perform under pressure. Watching him at Wimbledon is always a major occasion, especially for tennis lovers who understand what the tournament represents. But in the royal box, another story was unfolding quietly. King Frederik and Christian von Buchwald have known each other since the king was a teenager. Their friendship reportedly began after Frederik returned from boarding school in France at the age of 15 and was introduced to von Buchwald as a tennis coach. What began on a tennis court developed into a lifelong bond. That detail gives the Wimbledon appearance a different meaning. The king was not merely attending a glamorous sporting event with a guest. He was sitting beside someone who knew him before he became crown prince, before he became king, and before the weight of Denmark's monarchy rested on his shoulders. For royal watchers, that is what makes this moment so interesting. Modern monarchies are often viewed through official photographs, carefully planned appearances, and historic traditions. Yet the public is increasingly interested in the human side of royal life. People want to see the relationships that exist beyond palace walls. Christian von Buchwald's role in the Danish royal family is especially significant. His closeness to King Frederik was reflected when he was chosen as one of Princess Isabella's godparents in 2007. That is not a ceremonial detail. It shows the level of trust between the two families and confirms that this friendship has remained important across generations. Von Buchwald later built an accomplished medical career, becoming a senior physician and professor in ear, nose, and throat surgery at Rigshospitalet in Copenhagen. His path could not be more different from the life of a monarch, yet their friendship has endured. That contrast may be exactly why it has lasted. It appears rooted in shared history, sport, and personal loyalty rather than royal protocol. The Wimbledon setting also added a special layer to the story. The royal box is one of the most recognizable spaces in world sport. It has hosted heads of state, celebrities, athletes, cultural figures, and members of royal families for decades. Being seated there is always a mark of prestige, but for King Frederik, it also reflected a genuine love of the game. Tennis has a way of bringing together people from very different worlds. On court, the pressure is individual. Every serve, every return, and every decision can change the direction of a match. Off court, the sport creates moments of connection. For King Frederik and his old friend, Wimbledon may have offered a chance to return to the interest that first brought them together. The timing of the appearance is also notable. King Frederik became Denmark's monarch in January 2024 following the abdication of Queen Margrethe II. Since then, he has taken on a more visible role as head of state while balancing the expectations that come with a modern European monarchy. Royal observers have watched closely as Frederik and Queen Mary shape their own style of leadership. Their public image has often been defined by a mix of formality and accessibility. They represent continuity for Denmark, but they also understand that today's audiences respond to authenticity. That is why a Wimbledon appearance can carry more meaning than it first appears to. It is not a major constitutional event. It is not a state banquet. It is not a palace announcement. Yet it shows King Frederik in a relaxed environment, enjoying a sport he loves with someone who has been part of his life for decades. Public reaction to royal appearances like this is often driven by the small details. Viewers notice who sits beside a royal, how relaxed they appear, and whether the occasion feels official or personal. In this case, the story was not about controversy or drama. It was about continuity. In an era when royal families are constantly analyzed for signs of tension, distance, or change, a long-standing friendship can be a powerful image. It suggests stability. It shows that even as responsibilities grow, some relationships remain unchanged. There is also a wider message in King Frederik's Wimbledon appearance. Leadership can be demanding, especially when every public move is examined. Trusted friendships can provide perspective, privacy, and a connection to life before the title. For a monarch, that kind of relationship may be more valuable than the public ever sees. As Novak Djokovic fought for another Wimbledon victory, King Frederik's presence in the royal box became part of the day's wider spectacle. But the real story was not only about tennis royalty meeting European royalty. It was about a king and the friend who once coached him, sharing a moment that began many years ago on a tennis court. Could this quiet Wimbledon appearance be one of the clearest signs yet of how King Frederik intends to lead with tradition, but also with the personal connections that have shaped his life? Share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more royal news and analysis. Reports identify Drive Christian von Buchwald as King Frederik's longtime friend and former tennis coach, and confirm that the pair watched Djokovic's Wimbledon match from the royal box.